Hey guys, we are the editors from PremierGuitar.com, and we're on the last day of NAMM, Summer NAMM 2018 in Nashville. I'm Sean Hammond, Jason Shadrick, Perry Bean. We've seen a lot of cool stuff today, and we're going to tell you our favorites from the day. It's the last day of Summer NAMM, by the way. Jason's going to go first.
Yes. So I have three things. The first one is going to be this pedal by Mythos Pedals. It's a new version of the Herculean pedal, which is kind of a transparent overdrive, which I know there are a lot of those, but this one has this cool kind of clarity knob that kind of really lets you kind of fine tune the high end of it. And it has, gain, bass, treble, or gain, bass, volume knobs in addition to that. And it was just kind of this real kind of meaty, great sounding overdrive that I was really, really into. I know you guys did the video, right?
And I think originally it started out as like a TS-808 wannabe, but he's made it a lot. Gotten rid of the mid bump and made it a little more
To be completely
versatile.
honest, when we shot that video, it was so loud. If you guys have never been to the NAMM show, it is an absolute
well,
zoo.
especially that corner.
Especially that corner, because it's like near the drums. So did that potentiometer, the clarity thing, does that only affect the high gain or
no,
high,
the high
treble?
end. It's like a not quite like a treble control, but it's more like a fine-tuned type.
I mean,
thing.
it sounded really good, but honestly, I was also hearing airplanes. Like it sounded like
was
Zach
playing it? Was Zach playing it, or did
Joey Landreth?
No, we had Joey Landreth play it,
well.
which is cool.
I'm
He
sure
was
it
in
sounded great.
like 4 videos with us today. 1 here at the booth with you, and
that
3
dude's
other companies.
hustling.
He's all over, man. Check out Joey Landreth if you have not, for sure.
Voice of an angel.
Yeah. That's the name of his next album.
Is it really?
No, it shouldn't be,
Perry,
though.
what you got?
All right, what do you got?
Oh man, honestly, I saw some really cool stuff today, and this is like one of the first times we've ever done this where it's been hard to like really single it down. But I want to start with Mitch over at Colby Amps and Park Amplifiers. He has been making, he's pretty notorious for making super high headroom clean amps. And they had this thing that came out called the Max Watt, custom super high.
Okay,
50.
so we did, to clarify, not to interrupt you, so Mitch helped us out with the Max Watt video.
That was okay.
He has his own company, and he's sort of an advisor to Max Watt. Mitch used to be at Marshall, and he's got Colby Amplification and Park. But the Max Watt is technically not his company.
I see. But he kind of worked with Phaeton on it or something like that?
Yeah, it's really complicated. Like Hiawa, obviously, is the inspiration for that. The ownership history and legal history of that storied, awesome brand is just a mess. We can't even get into it here. Google it. I mean, shit, you'll find weird stories in the news in Britain about fraud and stuff from past owners, but it's here. It's got new ownership, Max Watt, and this one you're talking about was like for hard rock and metal, right?
Yeah, so it was, and you don't often see this because, game stages are not typically made like this, but it was all hand-wired point to point. That was really loud. But it had like some sort of like cascading gain. It was like a 1-channel amp that somehow they
4 gain stages.
Yeah, they had like 4 gain stages. So by the time you get to the 4th, and then it had a boost, it sounded like a Panther Piss and Razor Blades, and I loved it. It was like the heaviest, awesomest amp. Like it just sounded so
Piss
cool.
and Razor Blades.
Yeah, it was very heavy and gainy, and all the ways that I like. So that would be my.
Sweet. Oh, and it was cool because they were running it through like a 412 sized cab with 2 12s and a 15. So that's cool.
So it had like kind of an interesting bass response.
Yeah.
Other than being tricky to mic guys, it was a really great sounding cab.
All right, my first pick. Just have 2 today. Gibson. I mean, people are all over the show with this very successful marketing effort they're doing. They're trying to sort of, there hasn't been a whole lot of awesome news for the company this year, but they're trying to get everything, going, get things refreshed, leave some of that bad stuff behind, and they have a whole bunch of cool new guitars. We did a video of several, but the one that's actually my pick wasn't in the video. I saw it after we were done. I don't know if you guys remember, like 10, 12, 13 years ago was the last time they had a double cut, like Les Paul Jr. They used to have like the faded double cut. I think they had 1 and 2 pickup ones. Now they're bringing it back with a single pickup one, and it's like $799.
Wow.
It looked killer, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll review it or something.
Yeah, right on.
What pickup was in it? A P90 or something?
P90.
Cool.
Oh, my turn. I'm going to pick the last... That was loud. The last video we shot, which he's now pretty much become the mayor of NAMM Gear Demos. But Greg Koch, how many? I mean, I think I did 2 with him this week.
We did one.
In
You did one.
In NAMM's past, I probably shot like
I've
50
probably
videos
done.
of
Yeah,
that guy.
exactly
Yeah.
right. Well, he finally, they have, Greg Koch, KOCH Amp Company, the natural Koch and Koch came together to make this amp,
It's not a porn.
and it's called the Greg, and it was really, he's always been like, I would love to have an amp with just one knob that said more, but this is the exact opposite. There's not only a front panel of knobs, but there's a top panel of knobs. And the whole idea was that he wanted to just be able to bring a guitar and an amp and a cord and a foot switch or whatever and just be done. So this, along
Is this the one with the weird
Is it
trapezoid
like an offset?
profile?
No.
or-
It's like a 210. It's a 210. It's in like that teal blue. And along the front are kind of the typical, there's a clean and a gain channel, typical EQ stuff along the front. But then the knobs that are on the top facing up there's a extra 1 watt tube-driven boost. There's a harmonic vibrato tremolo. And then there's a reverb with 3 decay level tone. So he has, he was walking us through the whole thing. It sounded really good. It's 2550 watts, and it's an EL34 amp, which really, him coming from a Fender background, that's not a flavor of amp that he really has a lot of history with, I guess. But that's kind of Koch amps, like, and Greg was like, well, as long as you get the right tone, what doesn't matter what tubes
Right.
are in it. You know what I mean?
Now, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Because a lot of Koch amps have like a solid state preamp and a tube power amp, which is pretty unusual. Do you know if that one did?
I think this one's all tube. I'm pretty sure it was. And for 210, he had Jensen speakers in it. It looks heavier than it is, which is always a concern. We got all that stuff, but and he sounded great. He was playing through it, of course. Greg sounded great, and it was, I think, $26.99, going to be available in July. But the harmonic tremolo on it sounded really good. And there's a switch on top where you can have the tremolo feed or the harmonic vibrato feed the reverb, or vice versa, depending on how adventurous you're feeling. But that was a really fun amp today.
Sweet. Was that your last one, Jason?
I
Or
got
you have
one
one more.
Okay.
And then you have just one more, right? And we're gonna like tag team on it.
We have
Okay.
the same one. Yeah.
Yep.
How about, should I do my last one and then we'll talk about that one? Well, and then let Jason
I
go
have
and
another, I had one
Oh, you had
other
okay.
as well. Yeah. So not to rehash Mitch again, but he does own Park amps, right?
Yeah.
And he had this little 18 watt. They haven't named it yet. I think they're gonna call it the Park 18, but. Oh man, that thing sounded so sick. He played it with humbuckers, he played it with single coils, and it was just like probably the best rock and roll tone I've heard in a long, long time.
Like an old,
Yeah, and
an
it's- I mean,
homage to an 18-watt British amp.
Yeah.
you can probably
Yeah, a little
guess.
bit of homage, but of course it was, all hand wired and 90-degree angles and like military grade wiring and stuff like that. I mean, he did it the right way, and and he was sourcing somehow new old stock capacitors and diodes or something. You electrical engineers might know more about that stuff than me, but that was just, if you guys haven't heard Park amps in
They're good.
yeah, they sound great. It was really, really good.
Sweet. My next one, and then we'll probably both chime in on the one Perry's got for his last one. Early this morning, we were doing a video, and then I just kind of glanced across the aisle and was like, "Whoa, that's weird." So there's this company I'd never heard of before. I think it was their first NAMM ever. Square Amps out of Austin, Texas, and they have all these cool little very simple tube amp designs like Champs and Supro style in like old stereos and radios, and one of them was in a waffle
iron.
maker.
Yeah, it was so
Whoa.
cool. Yeah.
They're super killer, and we did.
They sounded really good.
We were
I
able
was
to
very impressed.
Yeah, we were able to squeeze in a video on there. They do have one standard model called the Doyle. It's just in like a pine cab. It's no fancy radios or stuff.
What's it named after?
I'm interviewing you.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm so used to it at the show. What's what?
Is there a specific Doyle The amp is
The
named
Doyle
after?
is like a tweed champ, but
No, I
with
mean, is there
it
somebody
was named after his dad or
grandfather.
grandpa.
Oh, okay.
Grandpa.
I guess his grandpa got him into building amps.
Yeah, so it was like a champ, but with a little more gain, and there's a presence control on the back that kind of helped it have a little more versatility. Had 10-inch Weber in it, so a bigger speaker than the champ. It sounded really cool. It was like $1,200, which is, it's a lot, but it's not just a champ. Add a little bit more to it. It sounded great.
With that presence control, I thought that was cool because if you rolled it back a little bit, you could get a lot of headroom out of it. If you rolled it all the way up, it would kind of break up a little bit, but it was like a
pretty nasty
really
with it,
nasty
actually.
breakup. Like, I don't think I've ever heard a champ do quite
But not
that.
like farting out
No,
nasty,
not at all.
like
Yeah.
still like
Good,
articulate
yeah.
and thumpy and all that. Thumpy, thump, thump.
All right, my turn.
Yeah.
All right, my last one is we went over to the Kiesel Guitars booth and met up with Johnny Hyland, another veteran of NAMM demo videos. And and he has a new signature T-style 3 pickup guitar with Kiesel. And it was, I am kind of a sucker personally for 3 pickup Tele style guitars because you can really cover a ton of ground with them. And they had his signature pickups in it. Comes in trem, non-trem, 5 different colors, swamp ash body, stainless steel frets, locking tuners. It's just like a real, working horse. I'm gonna play this every weekend. I can, hit all these
What kind
different
of
tones.
tram? Like a Strat style? Or
The one he
Wilkinson
played
or
was
something?
hardtail, but it's basically like it's like a Strat style. He didn't have a trem one with him, but he said that is an option. Kiesler are known for, if you need an option on your guitar, let me know and we can make it happen.
I love that he did it with Kiesel. Does anyone else find that kind of awesome? Because
Was it a headless one with a compound radius?
Full head, straight frets.
he actually we shot a rig rundown a couple of days ago, and Johnny was playing for.
Was it G. Smith?
Yeah, and he was playing that. He had a couple of those Kiesels
And it's
there.
light,
It
super
sounds
light.
really good.
Sounds
Of
good. I
course,
think it was
anything
around-
Johnny plays sounds good.
around $1,500, So it's, it was really, really impressive.
Yeah.
And him playing it sounded great. So
He could play anything and it would sound good for real.
that's true.
Perry, you got your last
I think
one?
I'm gonna let you start on this because my mind is blown on this last piece of gear that we saw today. We were like,
Was
what?
it the last video?
Yeah,
It was our last video, but these guys, the company name is Game Changer Audio, and last year I was just cruising around when it was off video shift, literally a year ago, Summer NAMM, saw this weird pedal that had didn't look like any other pedal you've ever seen, and it had a sustain pedal from like a piano on it. You can do really weird looping, spacey type stuff. We did a video on it, we reviewed it, and then this year, or actually a winter NAMM this year, Charlie, our gear editor, and I were just I think we were on a break catching a drink of water or something, and one of the guys from Game Changer came over, but I didn't realize he was from Game Changer. I thought we get approached a lot. I thought it was just some guy, and he has this pedal in his hand. He's like, look, there's this lightning inside, and I was like, there are products in the world where people just go for a gimmick. I was just like, oh, well, okay.
Yeah,
Someone's
right.
got a gimmick in their pedal now. So we go over and we hear it, and it blew our mind. We didn't get to hear it as much in Winter NAMM as we did today, but we did it as our last video today. It's one of the coolest fuzzes ever. And even if it didn't have the lightning going across the little tube in the middle,
sounding,
it just
fuzz
sounds so
distortion.
killer.
Yeah.
And the way he explained it was so cool. Traditionally people build distortions and fuzzes with transistors and stuff, and he's like, well, there are lots of ways to conduct electricity, lots and lots of ways, to turn sound into electricity and back into sound or whatever, or electricity into sound. But what was it that
they
was in there?
convert the audio signal to something or other, jack it up to thousands of watts, and it's traveling between 2 plates. I don't know what kind of tube it is, but it's not like a vacuum tube, but it's that.
But
that
literally,
lightning thing you
the
see in
voltage
there.
controlled. If you had it at a really low voltage, it was like a really cool gated, almost like Jack White, amp
Yeah.
about to blow up kind of fuzz. But then you crank the voltage, and it had a lot of sustain, and it
Smoothed it out a little
yeah.
bit.
Between this pedal and the Plus pedal that we saw last year, and just hearing about other stuff that they're doing with this plasma pedal. These guys are some of the most creative, out-of-the-box thinking guys in the industry. I really think that. And these guys from Latvia, I mean, just coming out of the blue. They with this plasma pedal, this is how. It's not just the pedal that's cool. They had, what did they call the thing on the wall? So they set it up so that you can go to some website. I think it's where they have their Indiegogo or something. I don't know. I don't remember if it's that site or their own website. But you can go there, upload a recording of your own playing, and put it through their pedal. And in like 10 seconds, it will show up. Click on your name, and it will play back what you uploaded through their pedal, and you can change the settings.
If you guys are interested or can remember, we'll be uploading our demo from at NAMM of that. And I shot a lot of B-roll of, so they brought it to NAMM and hooked it up. So in real time, we'd just be sitting there, and then all of a sudden the thing would light up because somebody in the world somewhere uploaded their damn audio file, and they had these little next level, man. They had these motors that were connected to all of the knobs. So you can tweak the knobs
like
online,
these pulley
and this like weird little pulley system will change the freaking knobs.
You guys are freaking geniuses.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was like, and I'm not even.
I'm like $250 bucks.
Like, I love high gain stuff. Hate fuzz. That fuzz sounded so good. I'm not a fuzz guy.
Man.
Yeah, but that sounded so.
You'll come
so
around.
A recent convert.
Yeah, you'll come around. Cool. So that's it.
I think we're done,
we're
right?
done.
Yes.
So that's all of our editors' picks coverage from the show, but we have tons of videos on our YouTube channel, on PremierGuitar.com.
And we'll be
on
putting
social
up
media.
Interviews we did with Brent Mason and Joey Landris coming up. Yep.
True.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
Later.